Well, today we're going to talk about the artist Keith Haring, and he would be what we would call an artist that produces more modern art. He was born in 1958 and was always very, very interested in art as a child. His inspirations were some that might be very much like our own. Walt Disney, the Peanuts cartoon strip, Dr. Seuss, and I think when we look at his artwork, we can definitely see some of those images of, cartoon elements. He graduated in 1976. He then went to the Ivy School of Art for a couple of years, but really lost interest in it. So what he did was he just kind of studied art on his own, continued to work on his own art mediums and art skills, and eventually he did go to New York City to kind of make his way as a professional artist, but to also continue his schooling at an art school in New York City. While he was there, he became very much involved with a lot of the underground art movement, and that would include street performers, persons who were doing more unusual types of art than what we would consider art today. And he began to become known for graffiti art. And when I say graffiti art, it does mean sometimes he did put his art over other people's advertisements and things like that. And he did that as a statement. For example, he would take an ad and spray paint over it and change it and alter the lettering to give it an alternate meaning. During this time period, he also became very, very interested in social causes, specifically the AIDS epidemic that was occurring, a lot of the inner city problems that were happening, such as crack cocaine and things like that, that were very much hallmarks of New York City in the 1980s. He became very well known for his imagery, such as this one, where it had very rounded shaped and bold lines to define his characters. He would draw chalk drawings and eventually paintings and murals in which there would be a bold line, and often expressions were shown by the characters, things like UFOs and barking dogs and people. He's responsible for over 50 public murals. Oftentimes he would do them in collaboration with kids, and even at one point had his own shop in New York City, which he saw just kind of as an extension of himself, selling merchandise very much like his. This art piece I'd like to talk about, Best Buddies, really is an important one I like to talk about at the museum because what I think it could symbolize. It's entitled Best Buddies, and so when we see that, we think these two people are probably friends. And there's a lot of different ways that we can determine this. First of all, they have their arms around each other. There's no social distancing going on in here at all. But also they like each other, they're happy to see each other. And with Keith Haring, what he would do is he would make his characters be expressive, as I mentioned earlier, by lines such as these exclamation marks, things of that nature. He also put this trademark patterning in a lot of his pieces, and he was very well known for contributing to a lot of different children's causes and such, and when you look at this, it does have a children's cartoony feel. But when we look at it, as I mentioned, it has a lot deeper meaning. We'll notice that you can't tell the gender of these two individuals. You can't tell the race of these two individuals. And you can't tell the age of these two individuals. You don't know what they're wearing, so we can't make a determination as to their economic status. We only see that they're even different because what Haring did was he made one kind of a yellow color and one kind of a pinky orange color. And so what this is showing is obviously a friendship, a closeness, a coming together of people who are obviously different for many different reasons. We interpret that our own way individually, and they're happy to see each other. They're best buddies, even though they have differences. I think to me that's what this artwork means. Keith Haring died in 1990 of AIDS, and a lot of his later work, as I mentioned, really addressed the AIDS crisis that was happening in the United States. He set up a charity fund, and the proceeds that continue from his artwork that is still in production and being licensed, even though it's been many, many years ago, those funds go to fund, as I mentioned, children's programs, AIDS awareness, things of that nature, which really follow his mission and kind of his dream and what he wanted to accomplish. So, if there's something that you'd like to do based off of this work of art today, one of the things I would encourage you to do is to draw a work of art with 2 different characters, or 3 or 4, but don't draw the characteristics. Draw them blank. Let them be a blank canvas for whoever your viewer is to see what it is and have them kind of fill in the blanks. See how you can, though, still, even though it's not showing any details, how can you make them different? So the viewer is able to tell that the artist wanted to say that these 2 people were different. So when you look at this artwork today, that's maybe something you can take home from this and work on at home. Like I mentioned, draw a portrait or a group of people showing in a way that they're different. However, we don't know the exact differences because we make them different in some way. Once again, thank you for joining the MacNider Art Museum. I hope that you're learning lots.